This new retelling of Cats is one of the boldest things that has been done.
It's a massive undertaking.
It's just unlike anything you've ever seen before.
If you really think about these quirks that cats have, T.S. Eliot really wanted to celebrate these eccentricities because they're so human-like.
He was, I think, when writing these poems, partly talking about people he knew as well as cats he knew.
The characters in the show are really incredibly well defined. In the original T.S. Eliot poems, there are loads and loads of clues as to their personalities, how they live, who they are.
Jenny Anydots, the poem says she's a tabby cat, so we gave her a tabby coat, and ginger colouring was it seemed to work great with Rebel Wilson, and I really wanted her to find something that would underline her brilliant sense of comedy.
Jenny Anydots is what's referred to as a Gumby cat. I still don't quite know what that means. She's kind of a frustrated choreographer who really has much bigger dreams than being chained to a kitchen sink. Not that she's literally chained, but it's a little bit of a metaphor for women in the 30s who were stuck in the kitchen but had so much more to give the world.
Why did you want another Jellicle life?
I can't keep being in this kitchen.
It's a little old-fashioned, don't you think?
I Crash Rebel scene is really, really a lot of fun because her and I, we do this back and forth.
Curious cat.
I mean, Rum Tum Tugger is all about that crazy mane that seems to be at one with Tugger's flamboyance, and he's an indecisive cat who keeps changing his mind, so it felt that as he sort of sways left to right, this crazy mane moving around would look brilliant.
It's a comedic role, but the role is a difficult role because he's kind of schizophrenic, you know, and he's either going from one extreme to the next extreme.
Grizabella is a very heavy character because she was homeless. Why was she called the Glimmer Cat? And how much of that is left in her now that she's broken down? And how do you hold on to that and still feel a sense of that in her?
Like the show, I wanted to explore using costume elements to separate them from conventional cats and to help give characters identity.
One of the constants we have been making all the time with the costumes is to think that the costumes had to be like an extension of the cat's groom. We just thought that she could be like a singer in the Windmill Theatre and that she fell out of grace and then she ended up in the streets.
You see the heaviness, you see the scars when she walks into the room. It should already tell a story.
Good evening, all.
Bustopher Jones. He's a cat that very much exists in the world. We've all seen those big cats, that kind of Garfield-esque sort of cat. His life is consumed with where he's having breakfast, where he's having lunch, where he's going to have dinner, and that is his kind of life.
Yeah, you've got it. Here we go.
You meet him out in a street, and Bustopher's kind of rolling through bins, and he's jumping up onto the top of other trash cans and down and being lifted and moved, and that's incredibly physical.
Jones in white.
The biggest change between the musical and the film is the character Victoria, played by the brilliant Frankie Hayward. So there is this white cat called Victoria in the show, and we suddenly thought maybe we could make more of her. And Lee Hall, who wrote the screenplay with me, we came up with this idea of the whole story is her finding out who this community is, who the big personalities are.
She's taken on this journey by these other cats and has to quickly decide whether she trusts them. And I think there's a real turning point in the film where she actually realizes that this might be where she's always meant to be.
It's a kind of coming-of-age story where we experience a world of Jellicle cats through her eyes. Because the central question for us as filmmakers was where do the cats all gather, and we settled on the idea of the Egyptian, and I think it was a brilliant idea of Eve's to make it Egyptian-themed, because, of course, the Egyptian culture is the one culture where cats were venerated as gods. Ian's performance was utterly extraordinary, and there was something incredibly moving about him playing Gus the theatre cat and effectively evoking through this character a life on the stage. Of course, the main person Ian is addressing when he sings this song is Judi Dench, and they share, a great theatrical past. And so having these two colossi of British film and theatre acting opposite each other, talking about their life in theatre, was very special to me.
As fire from the fiend of the fair.
Idris, I wanted to balance his own colouring as an actor with references to Macavity being a ginger cat, and Taylor, she became this kind of Bengal-inspired pattern with these ginger blonde tones.
Macavity is charming 1 minute and then horribly desperate and insecure, and that's a lot of fun to play that range,
It's just kind of fun to think of a cat that really thinks that they're criminal masterminds. Everybody's known that cat, that by night they just wreak complete havoc.
The Napoleon of crime.
I'm actually allergic to cats. I like cats, but as soon as I'm near one, my eyes start flaring up and I start sneezing, so fortunately I've had to watch them on YouTube.
Taylor and Idris, the chemistry between them on set was fantastic.
In my head, I categorize the cats as either good cats or bad cats in this musical. And Bombalurina is this right-hand man for Macavity.
I just picked up on Taylor's extraordinary glamour, and I feel at that moment it had to be lifted out of kind of being actory, and it had to go kind of not Vegas, but full Showtime. Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity.
There is a lot that goes on in terms of moving around in this number. You end up having a lot of different surfaces and locations, and it's really dynamic and bold and fun.
When a crime's discovered, then
Macavity's not there.
Got it?
With modern technology and visual arts, you can do some incredible things.
And action.
Capturing a human embodying an animal while retaining the emotive features of a human being. It's just really exciting to get to be a part of this.
To me, Jellicle Cats means magical cat, and there's a lovely line that Judy sings at the end of the film where she sings, "You've learnt that cats are very much like me and you," and to me, that's what it's all about.
Two, three, four.
I came right off of a stadium tour, so my stamina as far as live performance, it didn't really miss a beat. I do live singing every night, so it's really fun to hit your marks, do your choreography, sing live, and have all of this happen in this world where you're completely inhabiting another character.
The first time that Tom and I met, he was talking to me about the honesty and the energy that you get from a live vocal recording. We've pioneered live vocal recordings on Les Mis, but this is Les Miserables on steroids.
On a set of Cats, this is how I start my day, you know what I'm saying? Fresh beard, then I go into this makeup chair, shave my beard off, and they transform me. So there you have it.
It's all about creating a frame where the actors got incredible freedom to make choices in the moment that bring alive the lyrics.
There's no faking it. What you give is what the audience is gonna get.
When the day's hustle and bustle is done.
There's so many amazing singers on the film. You've got to get up there in front of all of them and sing your number.
Of disorderly louse.
It's absolutely happening now, and it's completely present in this moment right now.
Bust up the Jones in white. Bust up the Jones in white. Bust up the Jones in white style.
I think it gives the actor an advantage to be able to dictate and control the arc of the emotion of the character altogether versus a pre-record, and then having to match that emotion.
It becomes almost a duet between the pianist and Jennifer, where the actor has the freedom when singing it to find the rhythm and to sculpt something that's kind of unique in each take.
It's a lot that goes into the process, but it's worth it.
A new day has begun.
I definitely knew of Cats when I was growing up because it was one of the boldest things that had been done in musical theater. Everybody knows that iconic look in the 80s musical. The spandex and the makeup and all the aesthetics that went into it. And just how expressive the dance was, the music, and everybody knows Macavity.
Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. He's broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a fakey stare. But when they reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not there. Macavity's a ginger cat.
The song Macavity is very mischievous and very slinky and kind of feels a little bit like a cabaret number. It's really just a very fun song to sing and really fun to dance to.
And when you think he's half asleep, he's always wide awake!
It's probably my favorite song in the show. It feels very Fosse-esque to me, and it's very sexy. Taylor's amazing talent. She is willing to practice and work it out like a total pro.
We see him in the square, but when a crime's discovered, then Macavity's not there.
I've sort of just jumped straight in to the Macavity number. It's very thorough, the rehearsals, and I'm dancing and I'm singing. And that's stuff that I just haven't done for years, you know. Musicals have sort of license to just be overly dramatic, overly melancholy, and using music to gel all those sort of emotions, if you like, together. But you add acting and music, and it fuses into something quite special.
He's a fiend in flesh, monster of depravity. But when the crime's discovered, Macavity. Macavity! When the crime's discovered.
Finally have the chance to work with Taylor as an actress as well as a singer and a dancer, you know, and Idris Elba, you know, again, I'm a huge fan of and wanted to work with him for such a long time. The chemistry between them on set was fantastic.
It's such a fun environment because there are some of us here in the cast who are actors who've learned to dance and sing. There are some of us who are singers who have learned to act. There's some dancers who have learned to act and sing. You have so many people coming together, learning together, trying different things and improvising.
They've got some of the most incredible dancers, if not the best dancers in the world on this film. So I'm a little intimidated by some of them because they're just, like, amazing.
You have 40 cats who can just jam on with Taylor Swift, and it's so exciting.
5, 6, 7, 8.
We've got countless dancers that are a part of it, and it's fun. It feels like playing.
Guys, just wanted to say it really quick. You guys are amazing. I'm having the best time with you. You're so incredible. Thank you so much.
To be honest, you know, it's been amazing. It's all really collaborative, and Macavity is just an iconic song. It's a big showpiece, and it's very special to see a Macavity come to life.
Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. He's a fiend in peanut shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by street, you may see him in a square. But when a crime's discovered, Macavity, Macavity, Macavity. When a crime's discovered, then
Macavity's not there.
This musical in particular is very special for me because I went to see it at 10 years old in its first run, the New London Theatre, and I fell in love with it as a 10-year-old. So it was that combination of kind of, maybe this is the time, maybe the technology exists, and me wanting to do another musical and my love of it that all came together and started me on what's been a 7-year journey.
To take something that is so beloved and so mature as a piece of work and recreate it for the screen, it's a huge responsibility and one that he took incredibly seriously.
And could really only be done by a director like Tom Hooper. I think he understands the spectacle of Cats. So much of that is about dance and performance.
I was really excited and just kind of intrigued by the whole thing. And I kept thinking, like, I just want to work with Tom Hooper. Like, I want to get the opportunity to work with him, and getting to be in a musical.
I'm all about trying to capture lightning in a bottle, that moment of performance where someone does something unrepeatable. I'd love to be able to go back in a time machine and visit my 10-year-old self, that night and go, do you realise that one day you're going to be directing the movie of this? It seems so impossible.
I remember we were all standing backstage and we were just waiting for the Cats to go on. And I remember the Cats all saying to me, what are we doing here? I remember saying, well, just go out. And we just waited for the first cat to go out on stage. There was a cat caught in the car headlights in the production. We were waiting for the audience to collapse in laughter, so to which there was total silence. And then the first number happened, and Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats happened, and there was this extraordinary applause.
Wow.
And I remember just, I could just clutching myself and thinking, this can't be true. This can't be true. They're actually buying it.
I love the fact that Memory is the main song that everybody has loved from the musical, and that wasn't even originally in T.S. Eliot's Cats collection because he thought it was too sad.
Every time the music played, especially when it got to the touch me moment, I get chills just thinking about it. It's like it just took over me emotionally. It was as if the music just spoke to me.
It's one of the most famous songs in musical, not just in musical theatre, actually, just in music itself. He creates that sort of sense of wonder.
You want to keep it as true to its context as possible. How do you reinvent it for the movie version or somehow make it your own, but keeping it true to the score? Mr. Weber came. I recall when we first met, he was saying, like, bring what you bring to the character.
He's absolutely firing on all cylinders, and his musical brain is just extraordinary.
When I first read the screenplay, and the film is seen through Victoria's eyes, first thing I said was, we have to have a song for Victoria. It's vitally a part of the movie.
There was an ambition and an aspiration to have an original song in the movie. Just very much this understanding of, like, let's write the best song we can.
I played it to you, and I said, there's a new song. You said, I'll do the lyric, and you did it then and there, more or less.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's music is so impactful because it's so unabashedly emotional. There's absolutely no artifice in front of it.
I was cast as Grisabella in 1981. Just before we opened, I snapped my Achilles tendon, and I thought that that was my history with Cats. He's very, very clever, Andrew. He writes very memorable tunes and things that you can hum and remember. As magical Mr. Mistopheles.
It's melody and story, and that's what he cares about. It's melodies that you hear and they just stick in your head from minute one. And every single one of his shows has at a minimum one melodic moment, which the second you hear it, you'll never really forget. Whether that's like midnight
The emotion is at the forefront of what you're hearing. And I think that's really the trick to what has made his music so timeless, is that it leads with emotion.
Me having gone to school for musical theater, he was just one of those gods, right? The staple in musical theater.
Just getting to sing in front of Andrew Lloyd Webber, to me, as a musical theater geeky girl, it was incredible.
I think every generation knows his name and grows up with his songs and his music.
The untouchable songwriter that creates these songs that we cry to, we laugh to, we dance to. It's an unbelievable experience to be able to work with the living legend.
I don't know if there will be anybody ever again that will have an impact on global theatre in the manner that he has.
As the 10-year-old who fell in love with his show, to get the chance to create the movie and to delve into the music, that's been just a real privilege, and, he's got an amazing mind.
Cats, it's gigantic number after gigantic number, which was a huge process. Dance is a language in itself, because a lot of cats really didn't speak. So that means your lines, your language, they're portraying things through dance, which is where Andy comes in.
We're constantly trying new things and learning things on the spot, and you kind of got to roll with the punches with Andy.
If you get to be in a rehearsal room with Andy, it's a real treat to be part of.
I remember watching a lot of movie musicals when I was a kid. I remember people dancing and soaring through space. I also remember the camera shots, how the camera picked up a dancer flying past them, or the camera was well up above and then the singer looked up in the air. Those things really made an impression on me.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It felt very exciting to bring into my sort of 1930s world of the recreation of the movie a person who understood that you can mix modern dance vernacular with a period world, like no other. He's so passionate, he's so exacting. He had such a great vision for the dance and the film.
The magic of music is sending your imagination into a place that makes you reach forward, reach through doors you didn't know were in front of you. And so as a theater choreographer and a film choreographer, I try to do the same thing. I try to create tableaus and pictures and vocabulary that make the mind and the heart wander.
You look back at the score Andrew created, his use of electronic music, and it's groundbreaking in 1981. I mean, who was doing that?
Cats was its own thing. From the very beginning, people didn't know how to categorize it. I love that the dance in it wasn't ultra literal or ultra abstract. It walked lots of different lines.
When you work with a choreographer, as a director, it's a very intimate collaboration, where people stand, how they move, how you block a scene.
Dance is really physical architecture. The collaboration with the director, the collaboration with the director of photography is very important so that you can always feel the influences of the dance, even though you're choosing to look one place in particular. How can you go close without losing other things in the environment?
He is the most wonderful, supportive choreographer. Ultimately, I am a classical dancer, so that dictates a certain way of moving, a look, a style. But I work with so many diverse choreographers, and having learned so many different styles as a kid, I can throw everything in there. When a choreographer comes into a room, I might even be able to just throw a different flavor their way, which, oh, I hadn't thought about that, or, okay, that doesn't work here, but that will work later on.
And working out, I think it's working out the choreography, the camera, and the dance. Where I was planning to put the camera affected the way the dance would read.
I started choreographing things in circular patterns much more than I ever do. Because on stage, you're often very linear because the cast is always in front of the audience. Here, I realized that I need to frame everything circularly, so as the camera moved, we could be guaranteed to find the pictures we were looking for.
This world that we've been a part of, that was where I felt like Andy's choreography really sang, because that's his money. He's right in the pocket with that kind of Fosse style.
I like the booty because the booty's like two things happening at the same time. 1,
Andy has like this large picture of what the number should look like in his head, and by the end of the day, I feel like it turns into something totally different. You never know what the number could look like if you don't try new things.
I feel so lucky to have Andy, such a great collaborator and such a conscious storyteller through dance, you know, at my side to help bring the dancers to life in the film.
Dancing is hard, I'm not gonna lie. I've been doing it for so many years, and it's physical labor, and hopefully you can bring intellect to it so that the things that you're saying physically really mean something. The life of a dancer is weird because we burn out in a way. I think we all know in our hearts if we're a dancer that when we have the chance to burn out the gas tank, you have to do it. And they've really done that.
I've been on all kinds of sets, but nothing like this. I mean, come on, the scale is crazy.
It's just wild the first time you see it, and even the 100th time you see it.
The scale of this film is huge. Everything is 3 or 4 times bigger for the cat perspective.
I'm 5'4", the trash can.
I never thought it would be done with such beauty, really.
It's so interesting to go into that world and see the world through a cat's eye, a cat's life.
It's like you're being drawn into the fabric of the film.
We all experienced the world growing up as kids where the world was kind of unfathomably large, and scaling the world up around our cats connects partly to our memory of being young children.
We wanted to create a world where the cats inhabit and they actually live in London.
There was a huge lookbook that was used to describe the visual language of the scaling of the cats, and the setting of the musical in 1930s London was one that would help us take the musical out of a kind of theatrical experience.
A lot of it extends from the stage play, but Eve's imagination, which is pretty big, takes over and takes it into this world.
Seen some of the sets Eve were building. Everything is 2.5 times scale to 1. So on L stage, we're building a block of Soho, which in reality would be 150 feet long. It's 450 feet long.
The scale thing really throws your eye. For the first 3 months when we're making things, it all seemed out of proportion.
The most challenging thing was, of course, you couldn't hire anything, you couldn't find anything. So every single item we've made either through an outside source or here in the studio with these most amazing model makers that we've put together.
So this is where all of the big props get made. So we're doing big bins, everything household is big.
When you see those things that are enlarged next to a regularly sized human, that gives you the scale instantly. A 6-foot door or a 9-inch curb, those things have become our reliable, scaling sensors.
It became really apparent quite quickly in that if you did brick sizes ×3, they just looked unbelievable. They slightly looked cartoon, whereas some of the chairs had to be 3 times to give cats something to jump up at.
As soon as I saw the scale, you know that it's a gold mine. It's such a novelty and a playground for the dancer, because usually we work with sort of an empty void in music, and this makes scenery our partner, our dance partner, our scene partner, and it reminds us that we're in a different world.
This is actually part of the set right behind me, the milk bar, which is kind of insane because it's 20 feet in the air and you're trying not to die. So, every 5 minutes I'll check with my guys, make sure they got the harness, in their hands. I'm a heavy guy, so it's not really easy to hold me up.
Jenny Ilidotz's world exists in 3 scales. So there's the scale of the cats, the scale of the cockroaches, and the scale of the mice, all played by humans. That has been a bit of a head cruncher.
The domestic settings are the ones that really are effective. When you go into a kitchen and you see everything twice the size or 3 times the size that you're used to seeing it, it just brings a huge smile to your face.
It's literally us crawling up and down those sets all day when we film. It was really fun to play with all the oversized props.
Oh, the director needs me.
I'm incredibly loyal with my closest collaborators, Eve Stewart. She built this incredible world, the way she could balance such a strong sense of realism with the humor and the scale of what we were planning and the magic.
You need some imagination to fly, and I really hope that people can see the joy in this.
When I was trying to persuade the studio to greenlight the film, I obviously needed to create one cat. And I did a shoot with an amazing dancer called Fakiko, and we turned her into a cat.
He showed what it was like with kind of the fur and stuff, and I showed it to my 8-year-old son, and he was just like, whoa. And then he just kept saying, can I see it again?
I flew to Nashville to see Taylor, and she was like, what am I gonna look like? I only had one clip to show her.
And I just was like, this is not happening. Just all the aesthetics that went into it. We just kind of looked at each other like, okay.
Tom knew he wanted it to be human performance.
So wherever you see the green is where the fur goes. I guess we were kind of like a walking green screen.
This is my first mocap film, and wearing the suit, that's something you have to get used to.
A lot of wires and a lot of sensors, so it's mapping out all the crucial parts of my body. I also have 2 battery packs on my legs, and I have 2 sound packs on my arms, and a microphone strapped around my head. So I just really feel like a robot some of the time.
What's weird is how quickly you forget that you're all essentially in these sorts of leotards with dots all over your faces, pretending to be a cat.
The suits in this case were altered because we wanted to make sure that the dancers were comfortable in them. They were lighter weight. We had to move some of the hardware around so that they could do their roles.
So we just did a test, different frequencies and movements, so fast from up to down, contact, improv. The best thing about it is concentrated hour or so of being cats. And once they brought the chair in, we didn't want to leave the chair because we're lazy cats.
We have a much larger footprint on this set than you would normally expect on a visual effects movie. I think we have like 27 people in the visual effects department just on set every day.
At the end of every setup, we'll run in with the furry ball, literally just for the texture of the fur, just so they can see how the light plays on the fur in the shots. So you see this is Victoria there, and it's got a little bit of fur for each character on the show.
The level of digital love that's gone into the blend of the human and the feline, you know, the magical transportive quality of this was, you know, utterly extraordinary.
Yeah, strangely now it kind of feels quite normal. So I think going back to my usual costumes and like wearing a tutu is going to be quite strange again.
Tom has updated this musical in ways that I think are just so great. You told me I was gonna get to go to cat school every day for work? What?
And I'm like, how does a human portray being a cat? Learning about cats and what their mannerisms and body language and their way of communication, what it all meant was so helpful.
This lovely lady, Sarah, who just makes us super aware of the way cats move and what their instincts are.
Sarah, who worked with all the cast over weeks on what we called organic cat, which means not choreographed cat.
What does happiness look like? Why was Grizabella called the glamour cat? And how much of that is left in her now that she's broken down? And how do you put that into a cat?
It's very much about the senses. Mainly smell, actually, is a cat's greatest sense. But thinking about all sorts of things that we don't have as humans, like our ears and our tail, and then we progressed from that.
If you look at Frankie Hayward in the film, what her shoulders are doing, what her neck is doing, I mean, we all felt she had the best cat of everyone. It was partly through this kind of process of getting people to internalize as human beings, you know, cat language, and find a very physical language for the film.
It's really exciting and fun to learn about the anatomy of a cat and how a human can inhabit that kind of spirit, and it's just so fun.
Yeah!
And then James Corden and Rebel, they are masters of improvisational comedy, and you don't want to restrain that.
Well, I've spent a lot of time just living as a cat. I'm probably more committed than the other people in the movie, you know.
Rolling around on the floor, pretending to be cats and like working out which cats we liked and didn't like and what our personalities are.
When you're on stage and everybody's doing it, you start to get into it. But it's definitely difficult to sort of like remember you're a cat, not a man.
It felt like a weird drama school experiment, but it's very helpful for your performance in the film.
It was really a lesson to me as a director to see how much you could express through tiny choices you make with your whole body.
I've lived with every kind of cat, so I just feel as if I know a lot of them very, very well.
When Ian McKellen joined the group, we got some behavioural aspects of cats. They love to play, they love to sleep, they love to groom, and we started to practice those. There was absolutely no resistance. Without fail, every single one of those threw themselves into the idea of behaving and moving like a cat, and it was beautiful.
It's danced throughout the entire film, and it's a language in itself. Everything was through song. Your body language had to be your lines, your language. It literally took, like, the most elite dancers to be able to pull that off.
Girl, you're getting a workout.
So I'm a little intimidated by some of them. When you see people that are at the top of their game doing it, you raise your bar as well.
You must really commit to dance in order to master it. And on the set of Cats, I met some amazing artists from around the world who have done just that.
Frankie and Robbie are amazing ballet dancers.
The discipline that they are so sublime. And of course, Robbie, his command of how he moves and sings, and with Frankie as well.
I remember the first day I got to see her dance on set. I swear it's as if she started flying across the set. It was beautiful to just witness.
When I'm dancing, the world around me disappears. My first memory of dance was being by myself in my living room, very small, and just being totally swept away by the music.
I definitely feel like, first and foremost, a dancer. My sister, as a role model, she was always dancing, and I would dance behind her in the living room when I was 3.
I used to watch the video of Cats, and when my friends used to come around and play, I would make them dance along to it, but they didn't like dancing. It was only me, and I used to be the white cat in my living room. With classical dance as well, there are all these kind of crazy stories like princesses and fairies and things that don't really make sense, but I always believed in them.
There's a purity in ballet. You practice, 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 and you do that in all kinds of dance, but it's more position-based. It's black and white to a certain extent. Growing up as a guy who dances in Salt Lake City, Utah, back when I was growing up, it was a real struggle to have this passion and be proud of it outside of the studio. I don't think there was ever a time where I wasn't moving to music. I think it was a necessity. I was born to dance.
There's definitely a set vocabulary of steps, which is why we do ballet class. You study your technique every day like a religion. You do from the smallest movements building up to the big ones.
When you have somebody like Frankie who's perfected the rules and now is breaking them and helping tell the story through ballet that is moving and inspiring.
And action!
My favorite part of ballet is telling the story without words, how you can speak with just your eyes or your face or your body.
I've dedicated so much of my life to the art form, but we're all really just telling stories through movement. When there's no words to speak, you sing. When there's no song to sing, you dance.
Les Twins, who are amazing, I guess, what would you call it, hip-hop dancers? They'll probably kill me for not knowing the exact terms, but, you know, I've seen them on World of Dance.
How they hold their posture, how they sense things. It's really exciting and fun to be around.
When I wondered the question of how does a human move like a cat, watching them answered that question.
Larry and Laurent grew up dancing in the streets of Paris, and as twin brothers, their passion for movement took root at birth.
I never felt like a dancer. Like I really, truly feel since the beginning what we're doing was art. It's pretty special to have someone exactly look like you. It means I can see myself, how I look like. Oh my God, I can change this now, not later. Yeah. So it's beautiful to have a similar body close to you. The first language is the move. You might cry when you get out from your mother's belly, but your body is reacting on everything. Your body is the language of your cold, your hot, when you have no words for it. Everybody born with it. Harder is your life, faster you understand life. Les Twins style are really weird because we never planned to do something, it happened. People come with a code inside of their mind and plan to do something with a tactic, with the whole storyboard. We don't have anything, we don't expect to hear anything we know. When the music starts, it's like our body fully moves. The music becomes really visual to us. Being a part of Cats is kind of a big responsibility because I've never been in a Broadway show before. Type of dance on the Broadway is not the same. It's a lot of ballet, contemporary, and more. The life that we put in this movie is real. We have to be a singer. We have to dance at the same time. We have to be a cat and act. We control our own visual effects. The speed and the slow motion that we had is insane. The most amazing part of it is to see all these beautiful artists known for what they're doing the best, singing or acting.
No, you don't look stupid. I'm gonna have dots on my face.
Coming to us, Les Twins, and said, okay, no, you have something in mind. Appreciate so much the fact that they wanted my advice. It touched my heart, it touched my childhood, it touched us.
Meta Towley is a hip-hop dancer that exudes energy. One look at a dance tutorial of hers online or a music video she appears in, and you'll know that you're watching a special talent.
So much of dance is in risk. The risk to fall so far off your center that you may fall in front of thousands of people, but you don't care because the recovery is beautiful. I was cast on the possibility of two different characters, Jemima or Cassandra, and Tom chose Cassandra because of, I think, the way that I physically show up in a space, which is rather commanding. Dance has been the single most constant companion for me. It's something that is there for me to access at any time. But even more importantly than that, it's something that asks me to be a better person. We give up our bodies to tell the story. We use our voice. It's hard work. And we use the histories of who we are as people. Being a teenager in a small town in Minnesota and feeling a lot of anxiousness surrounding myself and my cultural representation in that place was a huge impetus for me to improvise and express myself in my room. That was a safe space for me. Cats are extremely independent. They're not clingy. And I find myself and my own personality like very attached to stories that I make up for myself about who I am to the world. I think about the parallels between this film and my life, and that is show up every day, really get connected to your community, and accept new ideas, new people into your life. When we're performing dance, we want to see the best qualities in humanity, the things that make us vulnerable, our insecurity. You can't just be up for finding the perfection of it, because there's no human truth in perfection.
When you're dancing with a partner, it's all about chemistry. Neve Morgan and Danny Collins are a couple of musical theatre kids who came together on the set of Cats as Rumpelteazer and Mungo Jerry that stole all of our hearts.
They've been in musicals, so there's kind of extra bonus. You only have to look at them to realise how fantastically they've applied themselves to this whole business of appearing how to be a cat.
I think Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer are, you know, they've got such huge chemistry. They're the notorious pair of cats. And I think that's why it took them so long to cast the roles, because they had to work so well together. I think they could see that in us, like in our personalities as well. I think that's why we match on and off screen, don't we? Like.
Yeah. No, we have a good laugh. Well, they're troublemakers, and I think they have to enjoy being troublemakers as well.
Ready? A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
My mum truly is my biggest inspiration. She taught me that dance isn't just a robotic form of moving, that it is a form of expression. So she not only taught me to dance, she taught me how to act and portray what I'm feeling inside to the outside world.
I always lived in kind of an imaginary world. My dad's an artist, and my mum always loved musical movies. They put music on in the living room, and we used to just bounce around like lunatics. And I'm one of 4 boys and a sister, so we always had quite a lot of energy.
Humans were not built to just stand still. I think we have so many limbs, we have so many muscles, we have so much to our bodies. It would be a shame not to use that in a very artistic way.
Hear this, Neve? And Neve is jumping to the bed. You missed the earlier shoot when she screamed. There we are.
I think our dance styles do quite match as well. We've got like a particular kind of a quirky, more kind of a style, and I think that's what works so well together as a duet. When we got on set, we saw that there was so many props to use and things to kind of tie in with the story.
We're that old school kind of musical theatre double act.
On the set of Cats, some of the best dancers in the world came together to deliver something truly spectacular. In the process, we took our individual practices to new heights. When it comes down to it, we're all storytellers. We speak through movement, and the qualities that make us unique as dancers are those that will have audiences coming back to Cats for generations.